What's going on, everybody? I'm back with another music review, and in today's review, I'm going to, at long last, be taking a look at a piece of music that I've been waiting for a very long time to come out. It came out in April of 2018, so just at the time of this recording, just earlier this year. Very excited about it, things that it could potentially mean for the future, but it is the debut album of one Miss Jen Ledger, who is, if you don't know, the drummer, the backup vocalist for the group Skillet. And Jen is beloved by many for both her drumming and singing ability. And even though she's not behind the drums with her own band, she's getting the full chance for her voice to come out, and I gotta tell you, it's long overdue, long overdue. So I'm really excited to go over this. Again, came out earlier this year, 2018. Put out by Atlantic Recording Company. Still, by Atlantic, the same ones who put out Skillet. So there are 6 tracks on this album because, again, it is only an extended play. It's not a full length album. So there are only 6 tracks, but every one of them worth listening to in some regard. So let's start off with track 1, which is Not Dead Yet. And what a way to start off the album. So in reality, this song is pretty slow, but it feels a lot faster in the chorus. The 30-second notes from the hi-hat provide just all sorts of like extra energy. Combine that with the power chords and the guitar and everything like that. It's just a crap ton of energy in the chorus. So, and the 30-second notes from the hi-hat, they also provide a faster feel for it too. But that kind of goes without saying. The song as a whole, it really feels, and I notice I'm not the only one who's making this comparison. The song as a whole feels like it was influenced by Flyleaf, or really, in my opinion, the result of what Flyleaf would sound like if they were actually good. It lets Jen stay in the genre that she's known for, and we kind of expect her to stay in, but it also gives her an identity away from Skillet, which is so important when you're trying to establish your own sound. She sings the chorus with such power and passion, and it sounds amazing. It holds the same spirit of the next song that we'll be getting to, where basically she's fighting the enemy. Really, the bottom line is she's fighting the enemy. Whoever her enemy is, we presume it's Satan, but fighting the enemy. Though she's been beaten and scarred, her resolve is unchanged. And as long as she lives, she'll keep fighting. So, and that's an encouraging message for regular life. It's also an encouraging message for our walk with God. That we're not, as long as we can draw on God's strength, and as long as we let Him be the source of our strength, we can fight back against the enemy. And as long as we're still breathing, we will keep on fighting and resisting Him. So, fantastic song. Way to start out the album. Track 2 is Warrior, and Warrior actually features her fellow Skillet band member, Mr. John Cooper. This one is it's another rock song, but it has a 6/8 feel to it. I'm pretty sure it's written in 6/8. It's slow, but again, it's like the 16th notes that are added into it, make it feel more energetic. The singer is calling out the enemy, so again, it's another battle-ish kind of song. Letting him know what the resolve / the sound of the warrior is. So basically, the resolve and the sound are kind of like hand in hand. They're together. She's also letting him know, aside from that, she has it, and she's also calling others to join her, basically. Overall, I don't hate this song like I used to. Like, when I first listened to this song way back when, I really didn't like it for some reason. It's grown on me a little bit, but I think in retrospective, I think this is probably the worst song on the EP, and not worst because it's bad. Let me please clarify that. I don't think it's the worst because it's bad. I think it's the worst because I expect Jen to do rock. Yes, we all fans of Skillet who know her background, we expect her to do this kind of music. But I also expect her to make that music her own. Really, this sounds at best like a B-side Skillet song. You know, I really would rather it be a Skillet song because just the way the phrasing of the melody is, just kind of the attitude about it, it sounds like it should be a Skillet song, like it wasn't good enough to make a Skillet song, and this just song just sticks out so much because it doesn't feel like it's a song that Jen wrote. It feels like it's supposed to be a Skillet song, like something that John wrote. And maybe he co-wrote it with her, and maybe that's why it sounds like that. I don't know, but it just sounds not the type of sound that she establishes with the rest of the album, and that to me makes it the worst. It feels like it does not belong there. I'm just looking at my notes. It just breaks too much against the sound that she's establishing for herself. That's key. She's trying to establish her own sound, and yet this really just kind of gets in the way. But then she gets away from that, though. Thankfully, she gets away from that and establishes an even bigger base for her sound, and she does that with the song "Bold." So track 3 is "Bold." To me, this is it's got like a mysterious atmosphere, kind of at the start of it. You know, it's a heavy. It's not an oriental sound, but it's sort of kind of got that those notes kind of mixed in with there, but it's all synthesized, and it sounds really really different from things that Skillet does, because Skillet uses programming, yes, but it doesn't quite sound like this. It's usually just different. This one I would call it's either a pop song or it's rock disguised as pop. I'm really not entirely sure which. Basically, though, the singer is making a declaration. She will not believe lies in her life any longer. Instead, she will live boldly and by faith. Very, again, a good message. Overall, pretty good song. I do feel, though, like there was a lot that was left on the table with this one. The atmosphere never changes, and I think they missed an opportunity with that. I like the mysteriousness of it, the kind of calmness of it at first, but I think but by the final chorus, I think there should have broken out, for example, with real drums, have some electric guitar riffs going, have it be vibrant instead of condensed, because the whole song has that condensed feel, and you're singing about breaking a mold, and trying to be basically being bold and coming out of your shell and everything, and living without any kind of hindrance in your life and anything, but the music doesn't exactly reflect that. I think it should have, maybe not necessarily built throughout the whole song, but it should have, by the final chorus, instead of sounding compressed and contained in a box, that's when it should have broken out and just been, have, again, real drums would have added a lot to this instead of using a drum machine or whatever it was that they were using. Having the electric guitar break out into some type of, just anything, just give it some life to really add to the impact of the song. I think it would have been at the very least something worth playing around. It sounds good for what it is, but I felt like it could have been more than what it was. And I think I have written down here is like, let the words bring an evolution of the music and then thus the singer. So the whole thing just evolves together. It's like you're telling a story basically, So I mean, I just, again, very, very good. And it's, I love the song, don't get me wrong, but I felt like it could have been so much more. And I hope that when she performs it, that maybe she considers adding something like that to it. Track 4 is Foreigner, and what's kind of funny about this one is the music until Jen comes in kind of reminds me of The Legend of Zelda. Maybe that's just me, but whatever, it is what it is. So this one's pretty slow. I think it's the slowest one on the album, if I'm not mistaken. It's got some minor pop elements to it as well. The singer should feel comfortable where she is, but she can't help but feel that she doesn't belong there. Really, what this song is doing is it's alluding to being on Earth and not in heaven. One feature about this, you do get to hear Jen go into it. It's not. It's I don't know if you can even call it a falsetto for when a girl does it, but it's similar. It's a similar sort of concept, and you hear it a little bit more even in the song Ruins, which we'll get to. But it's kind of like that. It's in the chorus. It's when she gets to the part. And I know I don't belong right here. She's singing normally, and then she's like. So that's a cool thing to be able to hear. You get to hear a little bit more of what her voice is capable of, and that's the sort of things that I'm looking for. Some other neat little things about the song is there's references to Ring Around the Rosie, London Bridge, and My Fair Lady, and it's actually pretty clever. Very clever lyrics, how those things are incorporated with the message that she's sending and everything to it. So, yeah, I definitely like that. Another thing too, her vocals in the chorus are powerful, like Not Dead Yet, but they're also calmer. It's kind of like what I would compare it to is getting to the glass ceiling, but not breaking it. And Not Dead Yet, she shatters the glass ceiling. And this, it's like she just kind of comes up to it and just doesn't really go any further than that. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, because, you need to have some variety in your vocals with that. But I'm just saying that just kind of gives you how the two songs differ from each other. So track 5 is Ruins. And Ruins, while it's not the only slow song in the album, it's the only one that's done more traditionally. So, soft accompaniment, relaxing type of slow song, that sort of thing. It's mostly it's mostly piano, and it does have some program. It could be keyboard stuff too. It has light. As far as percussion goes, it has like a light bass drum added later, and something. It's either like finger snapping or like some kind of a crack sort of sound for the snare drum, where snare would normally be on beat 4. That's what you hear. The singer appears to be singing to God. She is one who put guards up in her life, to not get hurt, obviously. However, the other person's love tore down those walls, breaking her, scarring her. So at first you might think that would seem bad. However, there's something so grand about it, so grand about that breaking, that being left in ruins, that she asked to be ruined again. She has obviously gotten close to this person through the brokenness, and that, sort of like what I said about the one song in Audrey Assad's album, "The House You're Building." It that is a very vital message, I think, to have in the world we live in, because there's many Christians in this world who do not believe that message. And the bottom line is, we really have to let God do that to us, because as Jen is displaying in her lyrics, yes, at the other end of that, you will be closer, and it's like, and you'll be asking for more. It's like, I want to feel, even though I feel, even though physically or emotionally I'm messed up, it brings me closer to you, therefore I want to feel that way. So, and as far as musically goes, this, in my opinion, people are probably going to disagree with me and say that Not Dead Yet does this, but in my opinion, Ruins is the best display of Jen's vocals on the album. Not Dead Yet really provides a chance to hear how good her voice is with rock. This song provides the chance of hearing how great her voice is, period. This proves that, one proves that she's a rocker, the other proves that she's a singer. The first time I ever, aside from the song Salvation on Skillet's Rise album, the first chance I really had to hear how good Jen sounds when she's just singing was at the first time I got to see them at Winter Jam, and she came out and she did a song with New Song, and it was just absolutely fantastic. Like, I was blown away by her voice, and this song really gives that gives other people a chance to hear that. It's so good. It's so good. And the final track on this EP is Iconic. It's a moderately fast rock with a kind of a dance feel to it. Basically, in a nutshell, this song rather, is about how the singer feels about God. Yet it's not really a praise and worship song. Really, the singer enjoys being in God's presence. That's pretty evident. Doesn't want it to end. The premise for it, based off of that, isn't bad. But really, I hate when songs try to make God like a celebrity. Words like star and even the word iconic are just, to me, really underwhelming when describing God Almighty, And I understand working for a secular company like Skillet, she's limited into what she can actually use, but it just, I don't know, it just really rubs me the wrong way when songs do that. Really, the best line of the whole song is in the chorus when it says, "You are the spark, you set me on fire." That is good. That's really good. Everything else is just kind of meh. The lyrics. I will say this though: the lyrics are phrased well with the music, but really in reality, this is one that you'd more likely to see me dance with and not sing with. It's a good closer musically, but one I struggle with lyrically. It's kind of the opposite of Warrior for me. Warrior, I thought the music overall was decent, but I liked the lyrics. I really didn't like some of the stuff musically, and then also how, more specifically, how the vocals, especially in the verses, just did not sound like a Jen sound. But anyway, it's kind of the opposite here. I like the music. I like the music better than I like the actual words. It's the other way around in Warrior, where I like the I like the lyrics themselves better than I do the actual music. So anyway, that's all 6 of them. So let me just gush for a minute about the album. So at last, the solo debut of Jen Ledger, it's come and gone by this point, but overall it has everything that I hoped and expected it to be. It satisfies longtime Skillet fans while doing, enough to attract some new fans. Jen's amazing vocals are on display, as I've said, both as a rocker and as a pure vocalist. It's just so vital for her credibility, because if she wants to do anything with this at all, she's got to establish her own sound, her own identity, and I think overall she did that very well with this album. I do have some complaints about it, though, about the album itself. First of all, I hate that it's an EP. I hate the fact that it's an EP, because I don't know why they made it an EP. Maybe it was because she just didn't have the time to record a full album. Maybe she didn't have the money for it. I don't know, but the girl deserved more than a 6-track debut. I'm sorry, but she deserved more than that. So it being an EP just frustrates the heck out of me. Second, why is Jen's voice so echoey throughout the album? There are some exceptions, of course, like specifically the choruses on Warrior, Not Dead Yet, and Foreigner. Those are the exceptions to that rule, or to that thing. But over, like, in a lot of the verses for like pretty much all the songs, like, her voice always sounds so echoey, like somebody put reverb or recorded it on a stage or something. And it really gets old really, really fast. And she's got such a good voice. Why do you feel the need to alter it like that? It just sounds ugh. She needs to be. Really, the bottom line is she needs to be Jen Ledger and not Lacey Sturm, because Lacey Sturm does that to some degree. With when she was with Flyleaf, and that, I mean, people, I can already see, especially with Not Dead Yet sounding like a Flyleaf song, people are just going to start making comparisons of her to Lacey as opposed to her to Skillet, and that's not going to do well for her in the future, I don't think. She needs to establish herself as her and not as anybody else, which she does, but in some ways she doesn't. Third, with the exception of Ruins, every song is like a soft sounding verse and then a chorus that has like a range of, ranges from impactful to powerful, or just, a louder sounding section of the song as opposed to what the verses are. Bold is a little bit different because Bold is not powerful, but it is most definitely sung fuller than what the verses provide. That's 5 out of 6 songs that do that. Ruins is just soft all the way through. That's 5 out of 6 songs that do that, and that, I'm sorry to say, Jen, is lazy writing. I'm not saying that songs can't do that. Songs sound perfectly fine that do that, but when that is the case, that's all the time. That's I'm sorry. I think that's lazy. Maybe not intentionally lazy, but it just does not say a lot. Fourth, there's only one soft, slow song. And again, this is why there needs to be more than 6 tracks, because Jen's voice really is able to shine well. Like in Ruins, it was really able to shine well what it was capable of doing with a soft, slower song. And I would have liked to have heard more of that, but we only get one song that's like that, and that's Ruins. That, and lastly, lastly, and this is probably one of the bigger complaints that I have, is it too much to ask for just one song that directly points to God by calling him by name instead of just using the word you, or even implying that he's the source of something? Like, for example, in Not Dead Yet, as much as I love the song, there's no mention that the reason why she's going to keep on fighting, the reason why she still has a resolve, breath in her lungs, whatever you want to call it, strength even, which isn't even mentioned, but it's implied that God is the source behind that, that's letting her do that, still be able to do that. But the problem is, I shouldn't have to imply something in a song. I mean, sometimes, yes, it's necessary. Sometimes it's okay. But more times than not, I really shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to know for certain. Because if I don't know for certain, and I don't have the knowledge that I have as a believer that, oh yeah, God is the one who's doing these things, then people are going to completely miss the point of your song. And again, I know this goes back to being signed with Atlantic, and there's probably some things you can't get away with. And Skillet itself has this problem, and I will definitely talk about it at length whenever I finally get to review, especially Skillet's later stuff. But it doesn't matter though, secular label company or Christian label company. Is there a law that says you can't directly mention God or Jesus in a rock song? Don't tell me that there isn't, or that there is, because Third Day did it for 25 years. So I don't. I'm sorry. I wish, especially because I know you guys have hearts for God, and in ways I can connect these songs to God, and because I know better, but I want them to have a much stronger connection than what they have, especially for the people who are influenced by your music and need that more direct connection, because otherwise they just are living off of inspiration that you're giving instead of inspiration that God has given to you to give to them. But all of these problems aside, there is still a ton of good music, and for everything that I've mentioned that is a problem, I'm not saying these things to come down on Jen or to come down on anyone in the writing process or in Skillet or anything like that. It's just something that I really want to see happen with this group, because I am such a fan of all of their music, and it's something that I have a passion about. It's something that I really want to see happen with that. But there's still a ton of good music in here, and even the songs that I complain about, they still are overall songs that I'm going to go back and listen to, because I love them so much, and I love, even more than the songs, I love the people who wrote them so much. That being the case, I'm going to give this a 4.1 out of 5. Musically, it did the best thing that it could do. It makes the listener want to hear more, at least for me anyway. It made me want to hear more, and that is the single best thing that you can do for an album. Not just to drive sales, but to generate people interest in your music. Because if you leave people wanting more, yeah, it's going to drive sales, because people are going to want to continue to buy your later albums, but it's building a connection between you and your fans, and it's just very, very important, and just like, I'm just left, especially since there's only 6 tracks on here, I'm just left with like, oh my God, I want to hear more of this, if Jen would just fix like the problems that I've talked about already, we could all be witness to like even more incredible music coming from her. And I should address something else really quick too. I'm not saying that I want her to leave Skillet. I would be very sad if she left Skillet, because not only does she fit Skillet so well, but her voice now has become so interwoven in Skillet songs that if she ever did leave, they would have a huge hole to fill, because I mean, not every drummer is going to be able to, come in. I mean, yeah, they could come in and fill the drum part, but who's going to fill in Jen's vocal parts, I mean, Corey can sing very well, but she's not going to be able to, she doesn't sing like Jen. She sings completely different. So I definitely don't want her to leave Skillet. However, if she went solo full time, I would still support her 100%, because she has the talent to do that, and I know I know full well that she would succeed, and she's totally deserving of it too. So guys, if it ever comes about that she does leave Skillet, makes the decision to, please do not barrage her with hate mail or guilt mail. Support her in anything that she does with that, because it's gonna if she decided to do that, it would take a lot of courage for her to do that. And she is completely worth and talented enough to to go completely solo, if that is indeed what she chose to do. And if she decides to stay with Skillet, then that's fine. We'll continue to be able to hear her awesome voice. We'll be able to continue to hear her ridiculous drumming skills. So I mean, it's a no matter what she does, it is still a win for everybody, in my opinion. I'll go ahead and I'll save some time and say, listen to this whole album. It's definitely worth listening to. All the songs are good in their own way, as I've said before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the tracks from my favorite to least favorite. At first, at my favorite, Not Dead Yet. I just freaking love that song. And a close second is Ruins. Again, it just still in my opinion, the best display of Jen's vocals on the whole album. Please listen to it. Bold, again, fantastic. Despite my wishing some things were a little bit different, it's got great lyrics to it. It's definitely a different sound for Jen, and so it's worth listening to. Foreigner after that. Foreigner's pretty cool overall. And then at the bottom of the list, not saying that either of these songs are bad, but for me, I have them actually kind of tied as my least favorites on the album for reasons that I've already talked about, and that is, of course, Warrior and Iconic. But overall, very, very great album. As a fan, I'm very proud of her for coming out with this. It could not have been an easy road, but it was very fun, I'm imagining. And I look forward to any solo projects she does in the future. I mean, the sky's the limit for her, basically, as far as I'm concerned. I have said for years to anybody who would listen to me that Jen is one of the most underrated female vocalists in the entire Christian music world, and this now is the chance for people to see how good she really is, and how much God has gifted her. Let me not forget to say that, because God really has gifted her with all kinds of musical talent. And really, if she doesn't form her own, she's formed it already, but if she doesn't take her band and leave Skillet, then what I would like to see Skillet consider doing in light of this EP is doing for Jen similar to what Casting Crowns has done for Megan, because Megan has her voice has become such a part of Casting Crowns now that a lot of times she's getting more songs where she's the lead vocalist. Skillet really kind of sort of did that with Salvation, but aside from that, it's usually Jen is either trading off with John or she's just providing background stuff. I would like to see maybe Skillet letting Jen take over songs completely like that, like what Casting Crowns does with Megan. Again, and this also goes back to if she decides to stay with Skillet. But, at the moment, though, she's not even thinking about leaving Skillet right now. So, we're good for right now. But I'm just saying that would be really cool to see in the future. Anyway, I've talked about this for a very long time, and if you're still listening, thank you very, very much for listening to this. It's one that I've been waiting to do for a while, and I can't wait to see what else she does with this. But anyway, please leave your comments about the EP if you've listened to it. Go listen to it first if you haven't, and then come back, leave your comments. Please be respectful both to me and to other fellow commenters. If you have anything that you would like to hear me review or do a drum cover of, then please let me know also in the comments section. As far as where we're heading from here, I'm going to take us back and I'm going to look at some artists we've already covered. I'm going to be going back to like Third Day, Casting Crowns, Chris Tomlin, Mercy Me, those sorts of people from back in the golden age, because I've still got a lot of their albums to cover, as well as talking about other people and everything. So I want to go back. We're gonna be taking a look at where we left off with them, and that's really just kind of the plan for the foreseeable future. So it's going to be some good stuff that we're going to be looking at, and I can't wait to talk about it. So until next time, may the Lord bless you and keep you, and please, as always, take care.